Today I'm going to explain a very simple yet important concept. Begin with the end in mind. This is one of the habits of the book Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. And it's really important in language learning because it will give you a very clear goal. Often, when you start learning a language, you don't know what to do. Uh, you don't have a clear path, and you end up following the path that others uh, lay out in front of you, and it's often the wrong path. And then you get people in 1,500 day Duolingo streak, or having done 800 hours of immersion with dumb videos for kids and things like this, and no real results, or at least very little in terms of results, no real fluency whatsoever. And this is because they didn't really have a clear goal. And with a clear goal, I mean not something like I want to speak fluent Spanish, or I want to speak Spanish, or I want to be fluent in Spanish by this time next year, or anything like that. No, I mean, what do you want it for? What do you want to do with the language? What do you want to be capable of? And usually, people fall into one of these categories: fluency, and we could also call this conversational level, a conversational level. That would be a subcategory under fluency. So being fluent means understanding the language well and being able to speak it fluently, right? Um, you're able to speak about any normal subject without much trouble, with pretty good pronunciation, and without that many mistakes. I think that's what I would consider fluency. And of course, you're able to understand the language. Being conversational would be a level below that. Being able to speak in the language with a lot of mistakes, but you're able to say what you want to say. You make yourself understood, and you can understand the language somewhat as well. That would be having a conversational level. That would be a level below fluency. Yeah, you reach a conversational level first, and then eventually you reach fluency. And that's most people's goal. There are, however, other people who have different goals. Uh, Often people move to a different country, and the goal is not just to be, or maybe they are perfectionists, right? And the goal is not just to be fluent, but they want to I don't know if assimilation would be the right word, or integration, but um, to basically become a native, if not 100%, as close as possible to a native speaker, and a local. Uh, Learn the customs of the locals, learn to live like they live. Um, yeah, that's often the case with people who move to a country and end up marrying someone from there, and they spend time with the in-laws and the family, and they've got local friends, and the kids grow up in the country, and so on. This would be integration. Although often those people, especially English speakers, end up not being very good at the local language, be it Spanish or Portuguese or whatever. But that'd be another goal. And then another one, and I don't mean these are the only possible goals. Right? These are some of the most common ones. Being fluent is by far the most common. Like being able to speak the language and understand it. Becoming a local, fully integrating and assimilating, would be a goal fewer people want, because it's one step further than fluency. And another relatively common one, although much less common, is people wanting to learn the language to enjoy literature in the target language, being just people wanting to be able to read books and novels and and yeah, intellectual pursuits basically in the language. And I I wouldn't say it's my thing. Although I've read big books in many languages, I go through phases. Sometimes I'm really into it. Some of the times it's not that important. Especially, it depends on the language, right? You can also learn multiple languages and have some goals in certain languages and different ones in others. You might want to learn a language to just a conversational level. So when you go on a trip, you're able to communicate and impress the locals a little bit and have a few conversations. While in another one, you want to be fully fluent and have long conversations and watch a lot of content in the language because it's interesting, and or maybe even read books or whatever. And in in another language, you want to go full in and you want to uh, basically yeah, be able to not only consume the native level content, but to read thick, deep books and basically the highest level of the language at the at its highest level. It'd be like reading Tolstoy or in Russian or I don't know Goethe in German or Clausewitz or whatever. Um, you can have those goals. You can have different goals in different languages. That's also possible. So first of all, you need to know what you want to do in the language, and once you know that, you need to from there you need to work backwards. You need to start thinking, how do I get there? Let's say you want to become fluent. You want to understand the language and you want to speak it. Those are the goals. Yeah, you don't care about. You want to learn Spanish. You don't care about reading El Quixote or something. No, you just want to be able to speak, have conversations, sound good while you have the conversations, and understand everything. Do you really need to read a lot of books? Not really. You need to learn vocabulary, all the basics. You need to do a lot of listening until you understand everything. And then you need to get good at speaking. Yeah. For comprehension, you need to learn more and more vocab and then a lot of listening, if that's the goal. If your goal is to understand and speak the language well, not to, if this is not your goal. And if you want to speak it well, you need all that vocab and being able to understand, plus deliberate practice on your fluency with different exercises. Fluency being your ability to think in the language and speak, um, think fast enough in the language and form sentences without hesitating too much. Your accuracy, so your ability to speak without making many mistakes, and your pronunciation, so sounding as close as possible to a native speaker. And you have to work on those. And that's it. If your goal is to listen, to understand what you hear in the language, and to be able to speak, if that's the goal, you should focus on those: and listening comprehension, vocab, listening comprehension, and then speaking exercises. If your goal is to, and there are people like this, they just if you just don't care about speaking to people, you just want to, for whatever reason, you're an introvert and you like content, you really like let's whatever you like manga and anime and whatever, or you like really like deep intellectual books, classics and so on, French literature from like the 1800s or whatever, then you should focus on learning lots of vocab and doing a lot of reading instead. Or in the case of anime, if you are into anime and you want to learn Japanese for that, but you don't care about speaking, focus on learning vocab and watch a lot of anime. Like do the stuff that will help you the most for the goals that you have. It doesn't make much sense to do a lot of reading if your goal is to have conversations mostly, and the other way around. If your goal is to mostly Uh, if you're a if you are an introvert who's into books, and you mostly want the language to enjoy nice content, interesting, deep content, not for conversation, then it doesn't make much sense to hire an online tutor or anything like that. Focus on memorizing more vocab and doing more reading. Yeah. So this is a simple concept, but people seem to not understand it. Um, so then they just do whatever someone puts in front of them. Try Duolingo. I'm doing that and it works. For what? I mean, Duolingo doesn't work for anything. But hiring an online tutor and talking to them all day, every day will make you better at conversation. But if you want to read books and that's your main goal, you shouldn't be doing that. And the other way around, do whatever helps you the most for the goals that you have. So think first of what you want to accomplish with the language. What do you want it for? Um, in my case, it used to be a lot more of this, but I got honestly I got tired of books. I do read, but the new languages I learn, I just learn them for conversation. Uh, Russian is the last language that I've learned in which I was interested in books, and I read books in Russian. But I started. I read a lot. I'm a big reader, but it was never as. At some point, I realized it wasn't as helpful for conversation as I thought it would be. All the inputs people keep talking about read books, read more books, read books. It doesn't help much in conversation. Practice your speaking for that. I still read a lot, but in the languages, in English, in Spanish, in French, in German, in the languages that um, I have a really good reading level at, but I don't read books in new languages because it's just not worth it. If my goal is to have conversations, and right now that's what I'm focusing on. So yeah, for every language, just figure out what you want to do and work on the things that will get you to that goal the fastest. Not do not spend time on things that don't really. I mean, everything helps, yeah, but there's an opportunity cost. You do learn some vocab with Duolingo. It's mostly useless vocab, but and pineapple and banana, this and that. Okay, but it's better than nothing, but that is time you could have spent doing something else, much more effective. Yeah, so it's better you choose the most effective things to spend your time with. Anyway, I hope you found this useful. See you later with more videos.